Well, hello. Here's another great Wednesday for us to sit on the sofa and have a real talk. Um, for you guys that are watching us on YouTube, could you please hit that like button for us? You can hit a dislike button if you would like to as well. Give us a couple of comments or anything, like questions or topics you may want to see us dive into on this lovely sofa in the upcoming season. There's a couple of things I want to let you guys know before we get into this episode. Me and the missus are getting ready to crank up the podcast back up again. And some of our extra shows are going to be interviews with couples. So if you are a couple that so happens to watch the sofa or any of our um, podcasts, and you would like to come on and tell your story, DM me or comment if you're watching this now, and I'll reach out to you so we can try and get some information and see when the best time that we can do it. We already got we're getting ready to schedule our first couple, which I am so happy because I just love relationships. The sofa kind of evolves around relationships, whether it's relationships with love, marriage, people relationship, job relationship, just hard hitting life predicaments, situations, journeys. And the podcast is more on the dive deep, extra lovey-dovey. What's the thing that wifey be saying that it's nothing? What she be saying? She be saying something about the hey, cuz. Oh, and you said we would? Awesome. I would definitely work on that. So, but yeah, if you guys are watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, subscribe as well, because that does help the algorithm. If you're watching us on Facebook, please follow us. We have a show on Wednesdays. It's a seasonal show, and so we have at least about 12 episodes every season. We're kind of close to the end of the season. We had to push a couple of episodes back. We had technical difficulties, and we had to add an extra show for Miss Whitney. And so definitely. And if you did not see the title, this is what's going on. Not taking responsibility for your bad relations. I was talking to a friend today about this too. When you, give me a second. Definitely share, guys, because I can't share as much as I want to because Facebook's always putting me in jail. But this is something that we should talk about. The world nowadays is all about the blame game. Who can I blame about my messed up relationship? And I'm not saying that the other party in the relationship doesn't have faults or isn't the reason why you and that person is not together. But you have to really think about it, that everything on your end is not all peaches and cream either. I think, for an example, I love throwing myself up under the bus, right? So I give you a situation to where I know I was the reason for the breakup. All right, so I was in one relationship where I was stupid enough to cheat, right? So I caused the problem. When she called me out on it, said, "Hey, did you cheat on me?" My answer to that was I hung up with her and I started dating the person that I was cheating with. I personally felt like I did the right thing because I didn't have no business cheating in the first place. So I felt that my punishment should be that I should start dating the person that I cheated with, right? Who does that? A lot of people. But why? It took me years to understand the retard. I can't say that word. I want to get banned. The crazy method of me thinking that I've been in a relationship with this person for 4 years, and because I made the one of the biggest bungles in my entire life, that I cheated on her with this particular person, even though it gave me kids. Um, which I was very glad and happy for my kids. But give me 1 second, guys. We have Miss Whitney coming on, but she's having technical difficulties. I am going to let her work that out while I'm talking to you guys. But yeah, so my example is that it was something going on with me that caused me to make a decision like that. Because later on down the line, she was like, I would have forgave you. All you had to do was come and be straight up with me, but you wasn't. And me not being straight up it was just a cowardly move. I didn't want to face her, and that was me, right? Even though I caused the breakup, it was still a reason for me not to go face her. And I just thought she was going to hate me forever. And you can't, and it was a chance that she would have, but you can't make a decision for someone. And that's what we do sometimes. And so, another example where I wasn't the problem and the person broke up with me, they had problems, right? But I start realizing that, dang, why is it that I'm constantly coming across these particular people and noticing signs? Why haven't I just ended it before I get too deep into the relationship? So that was my fault, that I start realizing that there's a reason why I keep coming across these same particular people. There's some steps that I'm not taking correctly once I'm done with the relationship. And what was that? There was a lot of healing that I needed to do for myself that was not being done correctly. And so I found myself dating the same toxicity in the relationship, not to a degree of calling a person toxic. Some of them were toxic, and then some of them just had issues going on that I kind of kinged in, like I beamed in on it, but I was still like, I got it, we cool, knowing that it was a problem. So I had to take responsibility for that. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Taking responsibility for your bad relationship. Everybody has a part in a breakup. It's never one-sided, even if it's a deadly breakup, even if it's a abusive breakup where you had to end up leaving this person because it was abusive. You have to think, how long did you stay with this person? Because there's not too many people that get hit one time and they be like, oh, I'm gone. No, 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 no. It don't work like that. People tend to take that first hit, that second hit, that third and the fourth and the fifth, all the way down to the 100th hit before they say enough is enough. So you have to understand, you have to take your responsibility of why, what was the reason? How could I? Why did I stay in this relationship? Knowing that it was toxic, knowing that it was hurting me, knowing that it was putting me in a situation where my worth was less than nothing, right? So, let's see. All right. Oh man, why taking responsibility is important. Responsibility is ownership. Owning up to one's fault has been one thing people tend to run away from. Trust is and always will be a key factor in establishing a grateful relationship. You will never understand what it truly means to be in a relationship if you are not being honest to your partner, let alone yourself. Taking responsibility is so important nowadays. To take ownership of your faults in a relationship and not playing the blame game creates resolve. There are lessons to be learned in a breakup, regardless of you. Oh, I need to go back. No, go back. What are you doing? Stop it. Technical difficulties. There are lessons to be learned in a breakup, regardless of you, if you were the primary reason for the breakup. It sounds like Miss Whitney tried to pop in here. She's still having problems. She's trying to get in. But yeah, so you have to take responsibility of your actions also. And majority of the time, your actions is you didn't leave the relationship early enough. I want to say probably 60% of relationship that end, regardless if they end well or both are in agreement or just awful, one of the people, if not both, didn't leave before they should have. I mean, they left, but they didn't leave early enough. Saw signs, saw flags, but they still steadily stayed in a relationship that was not beneficial for neither one of them. Some people have a tendency like, I can't see you with nobody else, but they're dating other people. Selfish, maybe, you know. Um, so you really have to wonder about self. And this is what this episode is about. Wondering and then trying to one moment. Um Basically this is what this is about is self. Figuring out self. This is like one of the key things in a relationship. If you don't know yourself, how's another person going to know you? So if you're not working out what happened between you and another person in a relationship, once it gets like once it's done. Now I'm not talking about closure because you're gonna have some people that you're gonna try and go to and be like, hey, so what happened? Why did the relationship end? They may be in a position where they can't even tell you themselves because they don't know what's going on with self. There are many occasions where you're never going to get closure from someone. And closure is not needed. Closure is never needed. We just think it is. Trying to understand, definitely, if you wasn't the reason for the breakup, hence someone cheating or something, because there may even be a case to where that person just knows you were the right one, but you just didn't live up to what they thought that you could be, you know, and they saw potential in you, but you don't see potential. You know, there's a lot of women out here looking at men like that. And then they break up with the man and they go with somebody else, and then that man go with somebody else, and then all of a sudden the potential is there, and they be like, God dang it, that girl got she got that's my life. You know, that was supposed to be me. Man, I've heard that. I've seen so many movies where you get that particular thing, and you got to understand that sometimes people, especially with men, I've learned that men move accordingly to whom they want to move accordingly with. And I've said this before on the show, girls, do not allow a man to tell you that they do not know where you sit in a title realm with them, whether it's girlfriend, booty call, best friend, play friend, um, uh, one night stand type thing, you know, or just someone to be around and laugh with. Men know. Now, just because they know this title, is it like automatically solidified to where they can just marry you the next day? It's possible. I did it once and I do it again. Married within a couple of months of saying, hey, we girlfriend and boyfriend. because I knew, but my ex-wife did not really know what she wanted. And so there is that. Just because one person is ready, sometimes you still have to be patient enough for the other person. And I don't know, because you have a lot of women trying to figure out, why hasn't he proposed to me yet? It's like 15 years later. Situations like that, you have to be careful with those too, because again, a man knows exactly who you are and where he wants to place you. And he may act as though he's wanting to marry you with a sense of ring, um, commitment, which he's already committing if he's living with you, if he's going through the rigmarole of sleeping with you, helping you take care of the kids, y'all got kids together, or you helping taking care of his kids, or vice versa. You're going to Japan, bills together. That's a committed relationship. Don't let no man sit up and tell you, oh, girl, you know what it is. We just, unless you sit down, make that man draw up some a contract and y'all sign it. That's what I say do. But not stepping on men's toes. I have some links in the description where I am getting some of these. I checked some websites and I thought it was cool. And I use these for changing the narratives of taking ownership of the bad relationship, right? The very first thing is builds self-awareness. And we're going to talk about that a little bit here. Build self-awareness. Where are you lovely little things? Build self-awareness. To be accountable for your actions, you first have to understand what steps you're taking and why. For example, you may find that anytime you feel embarrassed, you lash out to redirect attention away from you. When you practice accountability in your relationship, you regularly take stock of what you're doing, building awareness of your behavior, habits, and tendencies. That very first one, and this website is a masterclass.com article. It's accountability in relationships. And like I said, the link is in the description. It's a couple other links too that I found. It was cool. But this one in itself, building self-awareness, this like the very first one that really stepped out. And the sentence where it basically says, when you're practicing accountability in your relationship, you regularly take stock of what you're doing, building awareness of your behaviors, habits, and tendencies. Something that we don't do. Like, seriously. What we do is the sentence before that. You find that anytime you feel embarrassed, you lash out to redirect attention away from you. It's all the way down to the kids. When you sit up here and you catch your kids in a lot, and you say some things, whatever, and they're like, no, they deflect. They deflect something back. They deflect it back on you. They either try to joke on you, or they bring out something that you may have did similar to that a long time ago when you ain't even in trouble. I know kids do that a lot with siblings. Oh, well, you didn't do this, or the other sibling may have done something and they didn't get caught, but that one did. But they finna tell on them because they got to deflect because they're embarrassed now. They got caught. They weren't supposed to get caught, especially if they think they're smart, So that very first one really stood out. But if you do this with the relationship, think about it. A person is being caught cheating. What's the first thing they're going to do? You was cheating too, or I bet you was cheating. Or even if you don't catch them cheating, you normally find a lot of partners, the ones that cheat are the ones that are accusing the non-cheaters. They find themselves being a little old possessive, checking, looking at stuff, being supposedly a little bit more aware, trying to catch them, catch their other partner, but they're the one doing stuff. So you have a lot of that going on. Miss Whitney is trying her best to get in, but it's not doing her right. I'm sorry, Miss Whitney. Keep trying though. All right. The next one, y'all really can't see those. Next one is encourage empathy. That word empathy. I am personally an empath. Do I like being an empath? Not really, because I go off for energy. And so I feel the room, any room that I'm in with people. And now I've gotten great with it to where I can delegate what energy that I'm receiving or what energy I need to receive and figure out what's going on versus the other ones that are just everywhere. I'm starting to get a little better with that. And that also allowed me to realize the people that I was falling for as well, because that was my thing. I was falling for people that the energies I felt, and I'm one of those super save dudes. And so I was going around trying to save everybody. And then if I so happened to find a girl that I felt like that I can save her and I went to go save her, then it was like, oh, I'm in love with her, which they are normally pretty cool people, right? But she's still trying. But so yeah, it's just I understood that's what I was doing. My empath side of me was being drawn to these broken people that needed help, and God commissioned me to help, but not fall in love with them. But that's what I did. Found a reason to like them a lot, and then I stepped away from doing what I was supposed to be doing. She's trying. Let's see. Uh, hello. Did you beat it up or something?
I had to reset like a million times and try to address the driver in the camera. The software fell out of operation some kind of way, but I had to
Ah,
reinitialize the whole system.
ah.
And then there were internet issues. So I am happy to have finally been able to join you tonight. And on the bright side of things, I did hear some part of what
Okay.
you shared so far. So I do have at least that as an idea of where we've been and in the discussion. And I
Okay.
am very, very sorry
Oh
about.
no. You're fine. You're fine. I'm one of those that have those same technical difficulties. I gotta get another camera because my baby broke mine, and so I have mine propped on something right now. So trust me, yeah, I understand. Uh, but the PowerPoint was a little short because I came across a couple of websites that I liked their bullet points, and I wanted to take use of some of those and use them as the changing narrative point. So it's a couple of them, and like the very first one is what really said, I might want to use these. The building self awareness to be accountable for your action. You first have to understand what steps you're taking and why. For example, you may find that anytime you feel embarrassed, you lash out to redirect attention away from you. When you practice accountability in your relationship, you regularly take stock of what you're doing, building awareness of your behavior and habits and tendencies. So that really stuck out for me when I was doing my little research about that. Definitely the part of the being embarrassed when someone catches you and either a lie or well just might as well say a lie and whatnot. And so they tend to deflect.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
From that sense of embarrassment, I completely understand. And I was thinking about some of the reasons that people don't want to take responsibility for their failed relationships.
What
And
you got for me?
well, one, it's easy not to. It's easy to blame the other person. It's just, I'm doing everything right, they're doing everything wrong, and there's nothing else to it. So maybe the
Hmm.
next person I'm with will do better than the last person that I was with. And the one of the dangers in that is that you begin to overcompensate.
Yeah.
If one person, okay, let's put genders on it just to make the explanation easy.
Why not? Let's go ahead.
If there's a man in a relationship with a woman and they break up because he doesn't want to take responsibility for his part in their breakup, whatever he blames her for is going to be something that he's extra highly sensitive of in the
Hmm.
next person that he's thinking about dating. You know, that if she was too free spirited and completely carefree, the next person he's going to date is going to be somebody who is almost controlling to the point that she has a plan for everything and is ready with backup plans if those first plans don't work, because he's overcompensating in looking for that characteristic in that individual that the first person lacked. And the that's dangerous because that can blind you to the other flaws in that person that you're fixated on with this good thing, whereas you consider the last thing bad in the other person. That's one reason that people don't like to take responsibility for their own failures in relationships. It's just easier to blame the other person.
I can see that. Um, God darn, now I can't remember how to spell this person's name. And I'm glad that you brought sex in as in meaning male and female
Yes.
partners.
Yes.
Uh, I I came across this during this post, and it it kind of disturbed me, but it made sense. Have you ever just read something and you was like, ah, man, people really do that, and that is sad that they really do that, but you are
I
so
have.
right. So,
I have.
um, okay, here goes. Basically, it says that this man has blown a whistle,
In what way?
basically telling on men.
Okay.
All right, in so many ways, I definitely agree because I know a lot of men that do this, and I'm gonna say that at some point in my life before now, I fed in some of these, right? And but the thing about this is, I think it's disturbing too, because yet again, these men are not taking ownership and responsibility of the fact that what they're doing is causing more damage than they are achieving something. And if you read this, it's more it's more of an achievement that's going on, right? So I'm going to read this little weird and sad piece of stuff here. So it
Okay.
says people keep talking about why do men sleep with women they don't like, and if so, why? Well, I'll explain. Men are physical creatures. They do not need to like you in order to have sex with you. I call BS. It's just something that people are just doing random, but and I get it, and that is true. Cause but that goes both ways, especially now, and it goes off of something that you have been stating so long in some of the videos, where women are now playing that if he can do it, I can game. So I can see this whole thing going both directions now more than anything. So it goes on and say, actually, sometimes we want to have sex with you just to dominate you. Sometimes we want to have sex with you because we actually do not like you. And yes, I said that. We want to have sex with you because we don't like you. That annoying woman of a manager at work, and he's using some other words, at work with the nice butt, we want to have sex with her because she has power over us. So here, that's it gets worse, but that, in a sense, again, is like that person in management, she's in management more likely because she got hired for that position. It's not a sense of I'm going to become management so that I can go and find a job with a whole bunch of men in it so that I can just sit up here and make them look so small. So at some point, I'm like, any man that thinks in that fashion, there's something wrong with you.
I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree that there's something fundamentally wrong with a lot of the things that this person has stated. The first thing I want to do is unpack the fact that there is foolishness that people will readily accept because it's couched in something that they already believe.
Hmm.
And with the way that this rant started, the first thing he said is that men are physical creatures.
And that's an excuse. Like, it's an excuse that everybody should swallow and take and run with it.
And so many people embrace that notion already that they're prepared to accept anything that follows it.
Yep.
And even though I agree with you that that's garbage, most people, a lot of people don't. So they accept it as true. And now
Oh, I know.
accept
Yeah.
everything else that they say behind it. One of the things I'd like to say about this whole men are physical creatures type of situation, that is a misquoted scripture. It's derived from a misquoted scripture where it talks about in the Bible, it says exactly that men are visual creatures. And the context that's always presented to people, particularly women, is that men are aroused and excited by what they see.
Hmm.
So it becomes her responsibility to always look perfect and always be beautiful, even though nobody's always perfect and beauty can be defined in a lot of different ways. But the problem with that interpretation is they think they take it to the extreme that if men want somebody beautiful, then women will accept dogs and ugliness and troll boy rejects
Mm.
because she's the one emphasized upon to put character above looks. Where if a man was to ever choose a woman for her character versus just how she looks, then it's an insult when he says things like, I know what I wanted, but God sent me her and it's what I needed. You know, as if God wants us to scrape the bottom of everything and
Mm-hmm.
think that that's his will. So this man who's saying that men are physical creatures, no, that's a complete excuse
It's a
because
cop out.
if he really believed that, he would be aroused unto possible sexual action with his sister,
Yeah.
with his mother, with his
Dogs,
female
cattle.
co, with his daughter, even. Because if that is the emphasis, if that is the only thing that actuates them as physical creatures, then it doesn't matter whose the body is.
Mm.
He just wants to fulfill his sexual need. He
Mm.
doesn't have to like her, which siblings can be rivalrous. He doesn't have to respect her authority, which men can have problems with their moms telling them what to do. There's so many different ways that the women in his family could fit those descriptions as far as the reason that he'll have sex with a woman that he doesn't like, but they don't do those. So if they can control it to not let it affect their family interactions, the point is that they can control it. They just don't want to.
Mm. Y'all heard that? A lot of crickets and But this pretty much was the reason for me making that post a little bit earlier about, you know, again, I I get it. I may not be the reason why Bridget over in England is damaged, right? But again, as men, we have to understand that just because she may be hurt, she may have gone through some trauma, that don't mean that we have to keep going and taking them through the same thing that they've already been through. And I really feel like this passage that was posted just pretty much is a bruised ego of men that are holding on to something that was told to them to be a truth
Mm-hmm.
that is so hard to live by unless you're demeaning not only women but yourself as well. And for me, it's just hard for me to understand. Why is it hard to understand what you're doing just doesn't make sense? I get it because you're making it make sense to yourself in order for you to do it. But so hence the reason why I also made the comment of like, why are you I can't remember exactly what I said, but basically, why are you doing what you're doing, pretty much promoting someone to mistreat your daughter?
Yes, I have seen. I've seen you make statements similar to that. Yes.
Yes, and so my thing is that's pretty much what we're doing when we're sitting up here and we're funning around with the videos and the movies, which I know movies are movies, but still,
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
but just the public act of on the news everywhere, kids are seeing this. It's like you're basically promoting the demeaning action upon women that soon a young boy,
Hmm.
not only does he probably do it to his sister, he does it to a female cousin. He does it to a female co-worker, and it's just something that's passed down because now you're basically with this, and like I say, it gets worse.
Hmm.
And I guarantee this person here is basically talking for a high percentage of men that don't take ownership of a lot of things that they're doing because it says as simple as that. We want to put her in a position where she is under us.
Hmm.
That annoying ex-girlfriend that we like having sex with but hate being with her. Yeah, her butt is amazing. Her head is spectacular. But after we found out about she sleeping with one of our friends, we needed to keep her around and have sex with her just to get back at her again, not taking that ownership, regardless of that person cheating. Trust me, it hurts. You know, woman or male, it doesn't matter. It hurts. But that don't mean that you have to sit and say, "Oh, I gotta play the get you back game," and that's like so many people are playing the get you back games. And he got it was a TikTok I came across that this woman was they were talking. He was like, "Dude, you have to cheat like that." It's like, well, I had to show you I can play the game better than you.
I have a quick parallel that I want to share for the discussion that we're having.
Yes.
Sometimes, in order for people to understand a particular point, it needs to be cloaked in a different garb so that they see the enormity of what's actually being discussed. The point that we're making now about the way that some men categorize, demean, and dehumanize women can be equally made in terms of race.
Yes.
White people do the same devaluing and dehumanizing of black people in
Yes.
order to justify themselves in the awful atrocities that they perpetrate against black people. You know,
Yes.
they convince themselves that black people are subhuman. They convince themselves that black people are unintelligent. They convince themselves that black people aren't smart enough to learn two languages. I just saw
Yes.
something like that. But the reason that they do that, it quiets their own consciousness about the things that they know would be wrong if perpetrated against themselves.
Yes.
And in that same parallel, that is the way a lot of men treat women. They're not human. They're sex objects. They're video girls, or
Uh-huh.
they're just, they're just live-in cooks, maids, sex slaves, and baby makers. They're not really human. They don't have an opinion. They're just, they're an automated body with a hole in the bottom for their sexual pleasure. That's all that they're regarded as. And that makes it easy for men to look at her and not see her as a person, but see her as a commodity, as an object, as a vehicle unto his own desires, while he cares nothing for hers.
Mm-hmm.
Once they are taught this for themselves, to eventually come to the conclusion that what they were taught was wrong, they almost have to backwalk their entire lives. And that takes too much pride on their part. It,
Yes.
it's too hard for them to admit this thing that I've been taught and thinking my entire life has been wrong. I've made so many decisions based on this thing that I've been taught, and it's been wrong. And they don't know how to deal with that. So it's easier for them to ignore that that's the circumstance and still go forward in what they know to be wrong.
Mm. You said a lot with just that one part of people out here living lives where it's a lie and they're going to continue to live this lie, knowing that this lie is not right, only because they don't want to go back or just accept the fact that you have wasted all this time. So you know what? I'm just gonna keep going. Just keep going. I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. Eh, If I believe in hell, I'm going to hell, but I can't just go back because then I'm gonna be embarrassed. So I go back yet again to what I said with the build self-awareness, where when you're ashamed, the world teaches not, I mean, to run from being ashamed, where it's not that I'm not even gonna say the world teaches to be ashamed, which allows us to run for as an excuse. Where if you did something, you did something, and you should just basically own up to it. Now, something totally different, whereas is someone is stating what you did and it's not true, then you should like what's the word I'm looking for? You should defend yourself in that sense. But definitely, if it's something that you did, yeah, I get it. You don't want to sit up here and say that you robbed the bank and you stole $15 million. Yeah, you don't want to do that because you're gonna end up going to jail. After you done already did it and you got away with it.
Uh-huh.
And what
That's
when it
the
comes down to like relationships, I mean, these are like small things that people make so big. And it just turns like to one of those little small snowballs that end up going down the hill that ends up getting bigger.
Mhm.
Um, the other bullet point was
While we're finding that, I just wanted to add to what you said,
uh
that people who are going down a path and they don't want to stop because they recognize that what they were going down the path of is wrong.
yep,
That's a trouble with things that they know to be wrong,
yep,
like robbing a bank, like in the example that you gave. Also, in that, we're talking about the wrongs that they don't know, the things that they don't know are wrong. and then they find out that those things are wrong, and they just don't want to turn back at that point.
Yeah.
Um, like, and on this point where it encourages empathy, before we find the next bullet point, we are trying as a failing human race to convince people that the things that they're doing are wrong because they're wrong. But how would you feel if it was you? We're trying to exact some kind of empathy from them because it's connected to someone that they know. Like when we tell men, do you really want to sleep with all these different women? Would you want your daughter to be in the line of women that some other man is sleeping with? No, you shouldn't do this because you wouldn't want this to happen to your daughter. You shouldn't do this because you don't want this to happen to your mother, to your sister, to your female cousin. We're trying to create a sense of empathy in those guys through the point of women that they know. But the problem with that becomes she is human all by herself.
Right.
If she didn't have any brothers, she would still be that woman who doesn't deserve to be slept over and lied to and raped and all these other things that
definitely
doing. And it's not completely the most all-encompassing way for him to grow, but it's certainly a valid stepping stone. And I think that positions it properly in the beginning of the changing of the narrative.
Yes. And even with that, and I know I did state that your daughter, your mother, your sister, as at the end of the day, even even with that person being a single child in a family, she was still someone's daughter at the end of the day. And so I guess that's another reason why I really pointed at the daughter part of the situation. She's always someone's daughter. Someone had her, even if she doesn't have brothers or cousins and whatnot. But that second point is the empath. At its core, accountability is a practice between at least two people rather than one person acting in a bubble. Accountability is about one person thinking deeply about how their actions affect those around them. This practice encourages empathy or putting yourself in others' shoes to consider how they feel, which is a fundamental part of healthy relationships. So they're pretty much um, unpack practically everything we just said. Again, accountability is about one person thinking deeply about how their actions affect those around them. So if I go back to what I was just reading, which it was so much more, that person is talking in a sense of not thinking deeply about how his actions or their actions are going to affect the people around them. It's only looking at one sided. What am I getting out of it? What is a man getting out of this? The man is getting a notch on his belt, uh, an ability to go to his friends and say, that girl you couldn't get, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
With no remorse or no sense of, by me doing that, what did it do to her? Or what is it doing to me that I'm feeling the need to go around and humiliate people just because I think they're making me look small? Whatever happened to, hey, manager, the other day when you was talking to me, I really didn't too much care for how you worded what you said. And can we talk about it or whatnot? If you have to go above that person's head, why is that I have to set her up to bend her over and put her in the book?
That is unfortunately something that men have been regularly taught to value. Their sexual prowess, their sexual ability, their sexual performance is the thing that makes them a man in their sight.
I'm sorry,
So
no, I don't. I don't care how big the PP is.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I'm talking about the way that the reason for the behavior that you're describing is a dysfunctional, misguided set of values. If that is where he views his what is valuable to him, that will always be what he falls back onto. I'm the man, I can do this good thing, and this woman who is being disrespectful to me, I need just 10 or 15 minutes with her to show her that I'm the man. That is the mentality that many men have, and it's because they value their sexual performance as an equation to their manhood, the same way that women value giving birth as equal to their womanhood. There are people who say if a woman can't have a child, then she's half a woman. If
Mm,
a man can't perform sexually, he's half a man.
mm.
These misguided values set people up to make the wrong decisions, and they're not prepared to accept that what they've been taught is wrong.
I don't know about nowhere else, but I know here in the United States, let me just go ahead and say what it is. A lot of that stems from back in the day, white people mentality. Just,
Racism is worldwide. I
yes.
I have unfortunately heard people say that, even in situations of refugee camps, white refugees are treated better than black refugees. And the black refugees know that. So it isn't just in the United States. Unfortunately that's a worldwide problem.
Gosh. All right. So fosters a culture of collaboration.
Ooh, that is sweet. I like that statement. I like that statement.
All right. And it states that when everyone in a relationship agrees to be accountable, it establishes a culture of collaboration in
Yes.
which each partner feels empowered to work together to make the relationship successful. So it goes back to the statement I just made when the boss is if the boss is coming down on you and for some odd reason, it just seems as though that the boss is making you small. Because you know what? Let me say it like this. If that manager was a male and the male was making you small, I do believe certain men, because I had to stop and think because I forgot. You got the other side. But you have a man that like women. You're not gonna sit up there and check out the boss's buttocks, his Levi jeans, and say that
Exactly.
because you making me feel small, I'm gonna take you to the break room and put you up under me so that I can show you on the man. You ain't gonna do
That's right.
that. You are not gonna do
That
that.
will never happen. No, that will never happen.
So
That,
don't you sit
that will
up
go
here and be like, because the manager is a female, I have to belittle her. You might as well belittle the man too. Hey, you're gonna do one, you might as well do all managers the same way. Just don't pick and choose what manager you're gonna do it to because there are a lot of mean male managers out there that does, regardless of what race you are, make you feel small. So if you're gonna do her, you might as well do him too. I dare you. Folks keep killing me, bro. It's
I
like
promise you that won't ever happen. That will never
I
happen.
don't know. These days, you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Access your regular behaviors. All right, accessing your regular behaviors.
Assess.
It says take stock of your regular behaviors on your own or with your partner. Focus on common problem areas or moments that regularly lead to conflicts. Identifying a few behaviors that may be contributing to the tensions. In addition, access successful behaviors or everyday actions that strengthen the relationship and consider what contributes to these beneficial interaction.
I fully agree. If you know that when you talk about certain things, you tend to have a shorter fuse than when you're talking about other things, make sure that when you're in those conversations, you are aware of that. And if you feel overwhelmed in that moment, that would be the time to take a break to prevent it from escalating to an argument.
Right. I've had to do that a couple of times with it wasn't that it was an overly heated conversation, but just the fact that I wanted to make sure, and a girl, not girls, ladies, it is okay, even men, and it's okay for your partner to say, "Hey, give me a moment, let me get my thoughts together," because sometimes when you're having I'm gonna say an argument, a heated discussion, or just a discussion in general, sometimes we have a tendency of wanting a person to answer right then and there instead of waiting a moment. It's um, because at at the very beginning of the conversation or whatever the situation may be, emotions may be extremely too high. And I'm not talking about those that tend to say stuff and be like, I didn't mean that, whatever, this bull crap, because you said it. And
That's right.
I like people that do that because they always use that every time they sit up here and say all these mean and hateful things to you. I ain't that. I ain't mean. I was mad.
Mm-mm. Nope. If it's not in there, it can't come out.
Ex- right. Right.
If it's not in
So
there, it can't come out.
let a person cool off first if you don't want to hear that person tell you that. Consider how your actions affect your partner. Ooh, again, right.
Mhm.
So says once you've identified a few regular behaviors, determine how they affect your partner or partners. Dang. Ask,
Right.
ask what makes Ask what makes your partner feel cared for and which of your habits make your partner feel upset. Talk to each other about what you consider deal breakers in a relationship. Outside from the partners, I was happy that I did talk to my partner about deal breakers and whatnot at the very beginning of a relationship. That's something that I always tell people when I'm talking to them about relationships. At least you can do more, but at least find 10 things that you feel would make or break a relationship with you.
Mhm.
And also ask that person to do the same thing and y'all compare. And don't have it so locked to the point when this person says that hey, well, I want to go on a date at least twice a week.
Mhm.
Well, my hours are to the point to I can only get one day off during the week. So how about we do one day a week? Okay, cool. I can do that. Don't be like, well, uh, you can't get no time off because I need 2 days. So if you that type of person, don't force that person to try to, because that person just may say, hey, I may can swing something, but if that person can't, don't sit and say that person just is they just bad person at the end of everything or whatnot. Just go find somebody else that can give you 2 days.
I agree with you on the outcome of how that's supposed to be handled as far as the flexibility in those things.
Okay.
I would add to this particular part of the discussion that sometimes what people want
Hmm.
is a better reflection of where they are dysfunctional than the other person's inability to meet that want.
Explain a little bit more for me.
Okay, like with the example that you gave,
Uh-huh.
let's say that the person who demands and they're rigid about 2 dates a week, come hell or high water, it
Hmm.
must be 2 dates a week.
Uh-huh.
And there's no flexibility in that.
Okay.
That may be an evidence of that person's unresolved abandonment issues
Ooh.
more than it is the other partner's inability to meet them where they are.
Mm.
So the idea that some people have back and forth issues in their relationship, sometimes what a person wants and the reason that they want it is a strong indicator of what may be unresolved in their own lives. And that is the problem. versus the other partner's inability to meet them where they are about whatever that thing is.
Hmm.
And when we deal with issues like that, as we couch it in the sense of responsibility for the condition of your relationships,
Hmm.
we have to acknowledge the fact that a lot of these principles, a lot of these premises are only going to work if both people are honest.
Yeah.
If both people are willing to bring their emotions and vulnerability to present them to the other person. You can't have one person doing all of the work for
Yeah.
the emotional investment that the relationship will be, and the other person ready to walk on a dime just because he wants to sleep with somebody else because she's wearing his favorite clothes that day. You know,
Right.
and part of the issue, I'm going to say this, and I know that there might be some backlash about it from some of the comments or other viewers, but one of the reasons that many people don't take accountability for the things that happen in their relationships is that they've never been forced to.
Mm.
Nobody that they've ever been with has said, "You have done this incorrectly. I am not going to tolerate it. And if you want to be with me, you're going to have to do better." There are a lot of women that don't want to say that because they don't want to run the man off,
Mm.
because her value has been ingrained in her mind that it's a relationship, a husband, that's the only thing she's ever supposed to want to live for. But his misguided value is sex with her, sex with her, sex with her, and sex with her for whatever odd reason they choose to go down that path. So with these imbalanced values, men and women are constantly at odds about what their priorities should be. And you
Hmm.
have to come out of all of that and bring your vulnerability to the table with the other person's vulnerability, if anything is going to be more than the dysfunction that you're trying to escape.
I definitely believe that. Something that again we stated at the very beginning of our relationship, where it was like, hey, we, we despise arguing. We
Mhm.
should not be arguing about anything. Having a discussion is one thing, but
That's right.
arguing, fussing, and trying to yell over each other, it don't make no
That's
sense.
right.
And
Absolutely agree.
like, if you're unhappy and it ain't, I'm not able to change or fit the whatever what needs to be done to make you happy. We both in agreement, so we happily separate and go our own way without being mad and pissed off at each other. As simple as that. People again make things so hard, and I think a lot of it comes from one of one one of one if not I'm not saying one of if not, but one of the things, ownership of another person. People think that they own each other. I get married, you're signing a certificate that's saying that you're bound to this person, and if you believe in the Bible, you're one person. I get that too, but you're also two individual people in one little hut that that you are still separate beings. And
Mhm.
so taking the easier road of saying, hey, it's just not working out between us two. Let's go ahead and break it here and go in our separate ways because we've tried to make it work. No hard blood. No. Well, I want that house. You can't have the house. I want the kids. You're not responsible enough for the kids. How are we gonna share the dog? It's
Yeah.
it's it's just some stuff from this. It's like I don't know. The fourth
Do
one.
do you remember when Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa divorced?
Uh-huh.
Then sequentially, Devon Franklin and Megan Good also
Yes.
divorced before Jason Momoa and
Yes.
Lisa Bonet. I'm sorry. People were posting the solidity of their relationships as relationship goals, and they were saying that this is what your relationship should look like, especially when for some odd reason it became noised abroad that Jason Momoa and Lenny Kravitz were like best friends.
Yes. Yep.
And I posted on my Facebook page, and I think maybe other social media platforms, that regardless of how esteemed people considered their relationships to be, they did more for the cause of the sanctity of marriage by getting divorced.
Yep.
Rather than continuing in brokenness than having one of them cheat on the other.
Yes. I don't see why people can't see that.
And I'm not championing divorce. I'm making the point that people need to redefine what they think a broken home really is.
Yes.
A stable single parent is a better influence on a child than two people who always fight.
Yes.
And that's people just imagine that if two parents are there, it's automatically better. And no, that is not.
No. Trust me. I know. No.
No. I had this conversation recently where I was sharing with my aunt that when people separate, that's better than staying together broken and dysfunctional. And I was saying that people were so over the moon excited about Jason Momoa and Lenny Kravitz being best friends. And I said, that is a pathetic showing of society, because what they did is not exceptional. That's how it should be.
Yep, that's how it should be. You shouldn't get no pat on the back because you are friends with, and it ain't that you have to be like best buds with the other parent, but if you're in the house and you're dealing with someone else's kids, you should be able to call this person and say, hey, there's a problem going on with XYZ, and I tried to talk to him, but I don't know, and mom tried to talk to him. So, hey, I was just giving you a call to see if maybe we can sit down and see what's going on. No. All these men with their little big old head egos, ain't nobody else going to raise my child, but you ain't raising your child neither.
Mercy. Wow. But the civility that people should conduct themselves with is so rare that when it happens, everybody's flipped out about it.
I know.
That doesn't make any sense.
I've never seen this before.
Exactly. That is a perfect example of the point that I was making earlier. Society looks for and expects such dysfunction that normalcy looks exceptional.
Society promotes dysfunction, and we've closed our eyes to what should be normalized. It's right there in our face. We've tasted, we've seen it, we've practically have done some of it, but we have sat and said, it just tastes too simple.
That's right.
Let me go here, just call freaking chaos.
The reason for that, I believe, is that when you condition yourself to expect dysfunction, balance and wellness are boring to you.
Yes.
There are women, I'm picking on women for this one specifically because they're notorious for it. There are women who will meet a decent guy. And I'm not talking about just a nice guy because of his character. I'm talking about, let's say, a nice guy who actually looks worth something too. He's attractive. He's nice. He's attractive. He's wealthy. And there are women who would say, he's not dangerous enough. He's not mysterious enough. He's boring. I don't want to be with him because he's boring. And I tell that woman that she needs to reassess what she values, because his lack of dysfunction should be something that she is drawn to rather than repulsed by. And that gets under my skin like a blood vessel. That women are mistreating these good-looking, stable, decent character men just because she's looking to feed her desire for dysfunction in her own life. She's watching these TV shows that do nothing but have women fight about dumb garbage.
Yep.
And now she needs that fix. And when her relationships don't do that same thing for her, they don't excite her with the worst of all humanity, it's not good enough. And it's just, oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't know if she's watching, but thank you, sweetie, for seeing that this nice, handsome man was okay to be with. Because I've been that person plenty of times. I've been that person plenty of times. I would prefer chaos over simple, because that's pretty much, you know, as I was simple. Um, this last one here, making changes that will benefit everyone. Once you identify a few actions and how they affect your partner, consider any changes you can make to improve the relationship identity, a plan to decrease negative behaviors and increase positive ones. Remember that a healthy relationship isn't about changing yourself completely to make another person happy. Instead, it's about working together to improve your partnership. This process would naturally include compromising and sacrifices for every. Hold on, let me rewind it. Normally include compromises and sacrifice for every partner for the good of the relationship overall. Man, a lot of men don't want to hear that one, do we? Oh, compromise with everybody.
That is, oh my goodness. If you take the scripture, Ephesians 5:25, I think, where it says, wives submit unto your husbands. Is
Mm-hmm.
it 22 that says husbands love your wives?
Mm-hmm.
That part is their responsibility to her. They jump right over that, like
Yep.
leapfrog on
Yeah.
steroids, and
Yeah.
get what they determine her
Yeah.
responsibility to him is.
They just emphasize, bro, you supposed to be my slave.
Oh my God. They say that God condones that. They say that He's on board with that because
It's in,
they found it in the Bible.
it's
Well,
in that book.
here's some
It's in
news.
that book. So it must be true.
In, in the Bible, you also see rape, you see murder, you see incest. God doesn't condone any of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's in the Bible is not evidence that God condones it, because all these other bad things are in, and it says that it's written for our examples. That teaches us more what we should not be doing than it does what we are. And I only introduced the Bible for that principle because that's where people love to leap from when they're blaming, particularly men, when they're blaming the woman for why the relationship is faulty. You're not committing, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're not this, you're not that, rather than taking the look inward to see what he's not doing and what he should be doing in order for their partnership to benefit. Not that she becomes his slave, not that he becomes her slave, but that the two walk together agreed.
Hey, guys, y'all heard her. Guys, y'all heard her. Stop using the damn Bible as a weapon right here. And um, I say that we was happy to get you in here, Miss Whitney.
Yes.
And guys, that is in our show. But you and Mr. Sean supposed to be on next week.
Yes.
And I'm trying to see if I can get another male on, because even though I'm changing up the title of the next episode, which was supposed to be titled Taking Time to Find Your True Person. I think this still coincides with this because me and Wifey came across a clip where they were talking about feminine and masculine power.
Ooh. Oh my God. Okay.
And
You set me on fire, didn't you?
because my thing is, I don't. You talking about you? I'm probably get thrown up under the bus for this one. Let me come up a little closer to the camera here. because men, let me help you out. There's a such thing called balance. And correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Whitney, that every person should have a balance of both feminine and masculine energy.
Yes, I agree, 100%. There's
Be-
no doubt about that.
Because, like Wifey was saying, that, oh, just because I'm at work and I'm go getting and I'm like grinding hard, I'm masculine. No, that it is not. To me, that's sexy as heck. I see her doing, going after what she wants in life. And if she's a go-getter with it and she possibly may be what we consider being rough with it, I don't see that as being a male. Or as you have some of those men that have those daughters that are shy, where they have like these like where they got that what are tutus and stuff with their little things when they're young, and the dads are wearing tutus because they know the daughter is seeing that, hey, my dad is doing it, so I can do it. That's not him being feminine. And we have a misconception and this thing of just only women should stay and be 100% in their femininity, and a man should be 100% in his masculinity. That is not true whatsoever. So next week, next Wednesday, guys, we're going to unpack and go dive deep into the fact that men get over it, women stop it. This is just, we need to be honest with what it means to be balanced and what it truly means to have masculinity and femininity in your system. And there's nothing wrong with a man having access, true access to. I'm not gonna get deep into it because it's gonna take away from Wednesday. But that's what we're gonna talk about next Wednesday, guys. So definitely, Miss Whitney, if you from knowing this, if you have any, little things that you want to write down to bring to the table, please, by all means, go ahead and do that for us. Like I said, I'm gonna see if I can get another mail, which is kind of hard to do. People be running from me. It's all right though.
Aw.
It's okay though. It's not too many of me's, and I get it. So I'm just holding it down for everybody. It's cool. Miss Delissa said, I can't wait for that one. Femininity and masculinity. Yeah, it's just crazy. And again, it's just these elite people.
Mhm.
Stop listening to these so-called elite people that feel that they know what's right and wrong for the male and female species. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a whole bunch of stuck-up white men caught up in a cave somewhere, telling everybody what they can do with a whole bunch of money that they can't do nothing with. Their life is miserable. They ain't really got no real good family. They got boys that's they raising to be just like them. They probably mistreating them. Let me stop. But yes, yeah.
You touched on what I was about to share in your summary, your preview for next week.
Ah,
What you can label, you can control.
uh-huh.
That's
Again,
that's
that's
the
I,
distinction
I I
on
feel. God
control.
darn it, you exactly. I feel that. That's the only reason, and that's another reason why I just recently post that I don't want to be a color. I am not black. I am not a crayon. I am not a color pencil. And the fact that my mom was told that I was black, and her mom told her mom that she was black, and it stemmed all the way down to some darn slave masters saying you black. I don't want to be called that. I did my ancestry, and I got a whole list of other folks that I am, and we don't know who or what we are because again we believe to the truth to 100% what somebody told us 200, 300, 400 years ago to our ancestors that's been passed down.
Hmm. That is true. That is
And
true.
I'm done listening to those people. So I'm just and I guess uh, I'm not non-binary in those things. I just don't want to be a color pencil.
I understand. I completely understand.
Don't want to just
And
this is
Amy,
black. This is black. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna have to go by Walmart and get me two $500-$600 box of crayons so I can
oh my God.
find my colors. I can start calling myself
Oh my
I
goodness.
don't know, espresso or no, I'm not espresso. It's a little too dark. Nah.
Um,
Yeah. But thank you, guys. Again, we totally appreciate you watching. And in between times, Whitney, I shall see you on Facebook. Until Wednesday, ma'am, you have a blessed night. And thank you again.
Thank you so much for always having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be
Yes,
here.
ma'am. Good night.
Bye.